KTLK today about the sayings across the history of this country. But I always go back to the one president of the United States that impacted my life as a young fifth grader when he was assassinated. And that's John F. Kennedy. And I'll never forget, I've got albums of his speeches. We listened to one the other day, along with the pops and the ticks and the hisses, you know, the good old vinyl. Where the speech where he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." Where did that go? When did his party throw that out the window? Because that's what's happened here. And so I think about that, you know, and I'm going, you know, the social issues are very, very important, don't get me wrong. But we won't even have a chance to work on that if we don't control the other side. And it's a balancing act. So I don't know if I answered all, if there was something else there, but I think you know where I'm coming from. But
well, I think you answered the critical issues about the sanctity of life and the sanctity of marriage between a man and one woman. I think that's a fundamental piece. I don't know if you really answered the question about Floofgate or whatever, and what's going on with that, but maybe that's best left unsaid.
You had a question.
I was just wondering, being a young person, not granted I'm probably a little older than some of these other people, but I've talked to a lot of college students, and just recently I actually got a phone call from the National College Republican Committee, pretty much just asking my viewpoint on what needs to be done. And I pretty much told them Obama's got to go and all those people got to go. And she shared with me that 9 out of 10 people will vote for Obama, which I'm guessing, just breaking that down, will fall down the ranks. Now I'm saying, how do you appeal to them so us young people that actually want what's right don't suffer even more? Because right now we're the ones that are going to get screwed over. I mean, putting it nicely. I could use some other words, but I'm not going to. But, you know, and I was just wondering how you are going to appeal to the younger generation.
Well, you know, hopefully, you know, my 17-year-old granddaughter will help me out on that. You know, we have a lot of young teachers that have worked on my Senate campaign that we talk to. It's young folks like you that have to talk to the young folks. Those like you that understand that what's happening today will come out of your pocketbook if you have one in the future. It's young people like you saying, no, it's not okay to accept entitlements. Look at the state of Minnesota. They're talking about a fraud investigation on how the state of Minnesota took federal dollars and used them. It's not okay to take entitlements. You know, it's young people like you telling others, aren't you responsible for yourself? Do you really want somebody looking over your shoulder every place you go? Don't you want to earn your own living? Don't you want to be your own person? Don't you want to try to excel and not have a government that's going to tell you you can only make so much a year? Don't you want to have the choice to decide what doctor you go to instead of letting the government tell you, oh, because you're this age, you can only see this doctor. And when you reach this age, I'm not so sure we need to let you see a doctor at all. Okay? Don't you want your own personal liberty? You know, the best way to teach you, there are some things that I think that, you know, the day that person wants to give away all their freedoms, that's the day that this country is going to just stop to exist. And I, for one, will not let that happen as long as I live. I will battle tooth and nail. Do you think I like it when our president comes out and says, oh, we're going to take over the student loans? Well, why did he do that? Students aren't dumb. He did it because he's looking for votes. But let me tell you something, he might take it over and he might forgive student loans, but that same student's going to pay for it 20 years down the road. Somebody's got to pay for it. It's young folks like you that have to explain this to your generation. You know, it's your generation. This generation, what's happening today is affecting your generation, because some of us here aren't going to be around too much longer. You know, I'm 59. What's the age cycle, you know? But I'm just saying, you can't say we have to do it for you. It's personal responsibility. It's like me showing in my granddaughter the bad things. Saul Alinsky's, 12 Rules of Radicals. I asked my 17-year-old granddaughter to read it. Tell me what she thought. She said, that's not right. That's wrong. It's pointing this out. And I hope that we're grooming our grandchildren to be able to talk the talk that needs to be taught and walk that walk and help bring this country back to where it didn't happen overnight. And it's going to take a lot of energy. And I get so excited when I get to talk to young folks and say, think about this. Think about what's happening today. And remember, the government isn't the solve-all thing. Look at the Constitution. You know, we need to be really forcing and teaching the Constitution in our schools.
Yes.
That doesn't happen.
No. I mean, look at in our own state of Minnesota. Here's just a simple thing. Why did we get rid of industrial arts in the schools? Does anybody have an idea of the impact it's creating on just the welding industry in the state? Or the mechanics of the state? You know? So I throw that back. I will do whatever I can to help right the ship now. But we have to do this from within. We have to have our youth helping us here. We have to have our youth feeling good and saying, I want to make more money. I want to do the best I can. This dumbing down of our education, and you know what? I think it started with sports. I just get riled when my young granddaughters compete in a hockey game and they bust their tails, they win the game, and they get a participation certificate. Well, what's wrong with the first place trophy? What's wrong with the second place trophy? They worked hard, they earned it. They shouldn't have to share it with everyone. And that's what's happening. They want us to share all our money with everyone. They want to dumb down the United States of America. And I, for one, believe it's wrong. And we have to stop that. And we have to show, you know what? I won a state championship in football. And I'm darn proud of it. I won one trophy in football from my coach. It's called the Oil Can Award. All it was, remember the green oil can out at the farm? Click, click, you know, like the Tin Man used? Click, click, click. It's green. And remember when we put the labels? Click, and you turn it, click, and you turn it to the next letter of the label? Well, that's what was on it. But my coach did that. And what it said was, to the man that made the machine go. Because I was the motivator. I was the one that would go and grab my tackle and say, you missed it. Come on, fire up. We're down. We got to work together. We got to bring things forward. I was always doing that. That's what